you were saying something, and the I'm trying to think of the name of the movie. 21 Jump Street. There's a part in the movie where they're talking to Asian Jesus, and they're like, he's like talking to Asian Jesus, and like they keep on like, and it's almost like the movie's funny. Like I don't like watching that movie mainly because of that scene right there, where it's like he's mocking they're in this, and I can't remember if they're in a church. I think they are in a church, but they're in there and it's like they're mocking this Asian Jesus it's a model of Jesus up on a cross, and it's like they're making fun of him up there whether he looks like he's Asian or not. It's 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 mockery, and that's one reason why I don't like that movie, is because it's mockery. And the movie Easy A, um when you've got, I mean, I understand that there are some Christians that are like that girl that's in there, but a lot of Christians are not like that. In fact, I would say the majority of Christians who are true Christians are not like that. But these movies portray Jesus, and they portray Christians in these horrible ways, or these ways to mock them and stuff like that. And it just it's just so demeaning to us as Christians and our faith. I would never, even if I don't believe in what somebody else believes in, I would never demean them for it. I would never treat them in that way for it. I would, and I've never understood why. But I mean, as I get older, I do understand. It's because God is the one true God, and the devil is roaming this earth, seeking whom he can devour, to pull them away from God, so that he can have more souls to bring with him to hell. So that he can take he knows that he is damned to hell for all of eternity, and he wants to take as many people as possible, as many souls as possible with him.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, with that whole thing, just knowing that people are falling into this trap of thinking that Jesus is just some man that was here. And then
Mm-hmm.
also just thinking that as far as Christians, they do like to portray Christians on shows and TV as like somebody that's like crazy, or somebody that's like a lunatic basically,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And is very unfortunate, because these are the same people that like act like they want unity and love, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like you're not the same people that you're the hateful ones towards Christians. That's like,
Mm-hmm.
so like the double standard, and that is like mind blowing to me, because I even saw a TikTok. I know this is somewhat going off topic, but it would get back to my point of temptation. But there's a TikTok that I saw of somebody getting baptized, and there was an LGBTQ like group of people there at the beach, and they were there like mocking him the whole time, and like throwing stuff, and like trying to splash him and stuff like that. But it's like y'all are the same people that like y'all want Christians to be welcoming to y'all into the church, but it's like, but y'all are not even welcoming to the thought of somebody even receiving Jesus in their heart. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, where's the double standard? Like, where is that going to stop? And the sad answer to that is not going to stop. And it's
Yeah.
because Satan is like you were saying, is roaming the earth, and Satan is trying to get as many people with him as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just everybody falls into this trap, which kind of goes back to the temptation of being lured into this idea that Jesus is just like is not real, and that he that and then also on one other thing, like as far as people like to like call God like different names, like, well, for one, they like to use his name in vain a good bit, but then
Mm-hmm.
also people like to call him like something that, like, I don't know, I feel like it takes out like the power of who God is. Like people like to say like the man upstairs, or people like to say
Yeah.
sky daddy. It's like
Yeah.
what on earth are like these terms that people use, because it almost makes it sound like, why can't you just say that he is God, like the old powerful God, like capital G God, and not just some sky daddy that almost sounds like you're treating him like a genie, if you're even treating him like he's real at all.
That's exactly right. Yep.
So yeah, I think this temptation definitely is strong and is real, and that's why I definitely wanted to talk about this topic. But um, but before I end this topic, I actually do have a couple of verses as well that I want to read off, and they're both in the New Testament. The first one is in James, James 1, verse 12 through 15. So in verse 12, it says, "Blessed is the man who endures temptation. For
Hmm.
when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him." And then following that, in the next three verses, 13 through 15, it says, "When tempted, no one should say, 'God has tempted me.' For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Then, after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death." So, the reason why I wanted to read that one is because I feel like a lot of people like to blame God for if they fall into a bad situation. They like to blame God, but when in reality, it was Satan that put that temptation in your head, and you fell for the
Hmm.
temptation and you got yourself to the point to where you're at. But
Hmm.
I definitely wanted to point that out because I think a lot of people love to just always make God the bad guy in the situation and like make it seem like, oh well, God did this to me, and this is why like this is why I don't care to follow him or believe in him or even believe in him, because like what kind of God would put me through something like this? So I just
Yeah.
want to definitely point that verse out.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you 100%. I like the parts of the verses where it says that temptation leads to sin and sin leads to death, or gives birth to death. It temptation is just the start of it. And it's when you give into those temptations that the real issues the real issues come forth, whether it be you're tempted into you're tempted to lust after someone, and then that leads to adultery, and then that's going to lead to the breaking up of your marriage and your family, or you're tempted to lie about something. Well, when you lie about something and you give into that, people aren't able to trust you, and then nobody wants to be around you, every temptation has a bad consequence. That every temptation has a I mean, I guess that's the best thing is to say is a bad consequence. There is nothing good comes from giving into these temptations.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. It always leads you down to a path of regret, and or even if you don't regret it, then it leads you down just a deeper hole of the same
Mhm.
thing that could lead to even a risk in your life sometimes, or
Mhm.
even getting hurt in a situation.
Mhm.
And plus, it just goes to show that no matter what the temptation is, it can lead you down dark roads for sure. So. Another verse that I do have is in First Corinthians 10:13. It says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." So this verse gives me a lot of hope because we all, of course, fall into temptations. There are some temptations that are harder to break than others. And if I'm going to be honest, there is temptations in my life that even though I have accepted, Jesus in my heart long ago, there's still things that are in my, that happen in my head, or things that I fall into that it still happens even though I am
Mhm.
saved, that I
Mhm.
consider myself saved.
Yeah.
And there are moments where I almost lose hope, like I almost wonder, like, am I ever going to get out of this? And I even had that feeling last weekend, just thinking like, when is this ever going to stop? Like at this point, sometimes I almost feel like not that I'm like using drugs or anything, but I guess like as far as like an addict in a way, like so like you feel like you fall into the same exact pattern and it happens over again, you try to repent, you try to ask for forgiveness, and then you fall into it again, even if it's times a little bit later, then like instead of days later, it may be a month later that you fall into that same temptation. But still, just falling into that temptation or even having those thoughts can be very discouraging, because it almost makes you feel like there's no way out and there's no way to win this. But I think just reading that First Corinthians, I just loved, where it says God is faithful and He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. And I think I know that's just really big, for me, just because just from what I go through in life, and for what other people may go through, we all may think that there's no way out of our situation. And I definitely want to give that verse as a message of hope, that there is a way out there. All you got to do is just continually walk with God, and there are going to be times you may still fall into these temptations, even if it's a year down the road. And I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, just we got to extend grace to ourselves, kind of like we talked about with the drug topic. You have to just extend grace to to the ones you love that maybe fallen into temptation. But then we got to give ourselves grace as well, and to treat ourselves with love, and to just remind ourselves that we serve a loving God, and that God is going to make a way to where there seems to be no way.
Yeah. I'm actually glad that you brought that verse up because I was in a conversation, we'll call it that, with somebody on Facebook the other day. A lot of people take out of this verse where it says, I'm trying to, can you read that verse again? Can you read it again so I can hear it?
Yeah, so it says, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it.
A lot of people take that, and I was making sure I said it right. A lot of people take that where it says he will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear, and they take it into be the whole God won't give you anything that you can't handle. Please do not, and I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to your listening audience. Please do not confuse this verse with that unbiblical saying, because if if God won't give you more than you can handle, then you wouldn't need him. If God did, if there weren't times where you were just so overwhelmed with life that you didn't know what to do, you wouldn't need God's peace. You wouldn't need God's comfort. If you weren't so broken that you could not get your life together, you couldn't get yourself together, you wouldn't realize that you need God to make you whole. If you weren't, if life wasn't so chaotic and crazy sometimes, then you wouldn't realize that you need God and his strength and his endurance that will get you through those things. So please, please, people, do not mistake this verse to think that it means that God won't give you more than you can handle, because that is not biblical. That is not what this scripture says. The scripture says he will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. Not that there won't be things in this world that you can't bear. He says that when you are tempted, he will give you a way out. But that doesn't mean that there's not going to be things like my uncle died right before my birthday. We actually buried him on my birthday this year, and he's like a grandfather to me. And it was like my entire world came crashing down when that happened. And had it not been for Jesus, I could not do that by myself. That was something that I could not handle. That was something that was a part of my life that I could not handle. I needed Jesus. I needed God to hold me, to comfort me, to take care of me, to carry me. Please, please, please. That's all I want to say is about that verse, because I agree with everything you said about the temptation part of it. I just don't want anyone to think, oh, well, this is the verse that says God won't give you more than you can handle. He will give you more than you can handle. That's the point. That's the point of faith. That's the point of trust. And that is the point of growth. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, I
I'm,
actually love
I'm off my high horse now.
Yeah, I think that's a really good final point to make about this topic. And before I go on, I definitely am sorry to hear about, that with your uncle, because I'm glad that you were able to rely on, God through that moment. And, it kind of, goes back into this whole thing that we've been talking about, that whole unbiblical saying that people love to say a lot. And, because, if we didn't have, if we were just living in our comfort zone, of just everything's perfectly fine, then like I said, we wouldn't need God. But sometimes He does give us things to where we can't rely on ourselves to get through those moments. So that's where we need Jesus in those moments, and that's where temptation comes in.
Yeah.
Satan will definitely throw that temptation into your
Mhm.
life, and it may come out of nowhere. You may feel fine right now, but in tonight you may be laying in bed, and all of a sudden that temptation may just hit you right there, and then
Mhm.
it wants to start attacking you. It makes you roll around in bed, and I'm speaking from experience because this definitely was happening to me recently. So it just goes to show, don't give in. Like, and if you do give in, just give yourself some grace, pick yourself back up, and keep moving forward. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's definitely a good way to end this topic. I definitely appreciate Caitlyn being here again. It's definitely always good having her here, and I look forward to you being back for more episodes.
I'm excited about it. I'm excited for the next one. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. Absolutely. So, if y'all enjoyed this episode, whether you're watching from YouTube or Instagram at Not Your Average Show Podcast, you could definitely comment on there, or even if you want to private message me on Instagram, you can do that as well. And also, if you're listening to this from any of the podcast streaming platforms, I definitely appreciate your support there as well. So, anyways, everybody, I thank y'all for watching, and I will see y'all on the next episode of Not Your Average Joel. Bye.